Come to feed me,
Oh hey, so today I want to talk about a nice Trap of Hollowness build I've been playing that has been super fun, has been a ton of damage, and honestly, surprisingly good clear. But let me give you my elevator pitch on this build. So sunblast is like a crazy, powerful, unique, obviously for traps because it essentially gives you triple damage because it makes you, instead of throwing one trap, you throw three. And that kind of makes all traps feel like shit because they can't expire when they can't be triggered by monsters. So they have to wait that 1 second duration for most traps are 4 seconds. Like blade traps like 5 with quality. But yeah, so it gets 75% reduced. So it goes into 1 second, which makes it feel really clunky, and you really only want to use it when bossing. However, Ice Trap of Hollowness lasts half a second because it has a base duration of 2 seconds. So it goes off pretty fast, and because Ice Trap of Hollowness has like this hole in the middle that spreads the AoE out a little bit more, it's got pretty good coverage, making it a pretty fun mapper, like compared to something like normal Ice Trap. So as you can see, it takes a little bit longer to go off and has a little bit smaller AoE. So I have a little bit of a mapping showcase just so people can see what Ice Trap of Hollowness clears like with Sunblast, since I know a lot of people are going to be curious if that's clunky or what that actually looks like when, in practice. It does have a slight delay, so things that this build would excel at are essences and things like harvest, anything, where you can preload typical things that trapper miners excel at. But honestly, like I said, the clear is not as bad as you would think. And I know that doesn't sound like a selling point, but I thought it was generally pretty pleasant to clear with. So I guess I can talk about the build actual decisions. I'm sure you've never seen this before. I'm using Ralakesh, Badge of the Brotherhood, Void Battery, Malachi's Loop, stacking power charges and frenzy charges, have about 10. And, well, not about, I literally have 10. And then since we have so many power charges, we get to use Anathema. I have 4 curses in my helmet, and then I have a enfeeble in my profane proxy. Since we're trap mine build, we want to use skitterbots anyway. We have no way to shock. It gives us more trap mine damage. Enfeeble is like a pseudo fortify, where you have to be relatively close because of the aura of the skitterbots. It'd be better on blasphemy, but I just don't have the reservation space. And since we're using this in Sunblast, we like have pretty much no room for like flat life in any of our gear. So like my life total will be like, I think less than 3,000 with that. So enter Atulas, which gets us to a pretty, hefty like 6,200 life, making the build a lot tankier than it would be otherwise. I will say, since this build has no form of dodge, like evasion or block really, it has like the block from the shield. This is a little bit squishier than the average build I would play. It felt pretty sketchy before I had spell suppression cap. Honestly, I almost died a few times, had quite a few close calls. But now that I have suppression cap, build's coming along pretty, and I feel pretty safe, honestly. Yeah, so I'm gonna quickly go over the POB. Feel free to skip this because it's definitely not necessary. I included the POB and my ideal POB in the show notes, so feel free to just skip to that if you want to see the justifications for why I made the decisions I did. So like I said, with the gear, pretty normal stuff for charge stacking. I do have slots for 2 rares. Originally, this was Architect's Hands, but this actually gives you so much trap throw speed that your traps never go off because you keep hitting this 20 trap limit. That's actually why I have this mastery here, because even with rare gloves, you would stop having your traps go off if you don't have this. That was my experience, at least. Other decisions, I'm using energized armor here to fix my armor because we're top side of the tree build, so we don't have a lot of increased armor. Helps with our phys mitigation and our molten shell. Using a cold damage with while affected by hatred. This would be better as a base crit hatred Watcher's Eye, but I did not have access to that. That would allow you to drop these base crit charms. And then you could pick up something else like either more movement speed per frenzy, or suppression, or more area of effect would be nice, obviously. Using inner conviction here with timeless jewel. Mods I would ideally get on here, and I have this in my ideal PvP, would be resistances, because this is going to sound absurd, but the reason I'm using purity of elements and actually taking a Lyra is because we're using so many uniques. We do not have enough slots to fix resistances otherwise. So as you can see, I'm barely resistance capped. It was a stretch to actually get there. Without purity of elements, I'm like very far off. So you need to fix it elsewhere. But so anyways, that's why I would ideally get a resistance here. If you get a double one, that'd be insane. Anyways, EB for blessing. We're using hatred specifically for the Watcher's Eye. Zealotry is slightly better. Come over here for suppression, crit multi, trap limit like I mentioned, and then suppression because again, top side of the tree we don't have access to this. You could cut a lot of this for a cluster jewel setup, which would certainly be more damage. And if you're in softcore, you could definitely consider that. Like make this suppression is lucky, like cut out a lot of this stuff. And honestly, like probably some of this armor if you don't feel like you need that either. You can fit a lot more damage into this build. It's just, like I said, I felt a little squishy, and that is why the tree is the way it is. It seems to be about 15 million damage right now, assuming all of your traps are hitting. You get that weird angle where they stand directly in the circle of hollowness, so you kind of want to offset your aim a little bit. If you like, it usually doesn't matter because your AoE is so big, but just something I wanted to bring up. The ideal version of this build is about 42 million damage, and same defensive layer, same hit pool, etc. This lets us fit in a cluster jewel because we are fixing our resistances here, and since we have resistances elsewhere in our gear, it lets us drop purity of elements for grace and gives us a ton of evasion because we are using this, where is it, this charm. Oh, well, not this one, sorry. I'm using a that which is taken over here. I like totally spaced on that. Increased evasion rating per frenzy charge. This gives us a ton of evasion. It's very powerful because we also don't have a lot of increased evasion on the tree. But yeah, this is, gear is pretty juiced. It can definitely be better, but it's like corruptions everywhere. And that's like plus 8 suppression, and softcore chair is only like 8, or like one divine. It's crazy to me. That's so powerful. But yeah, anyways, that's the build. And like I said, I included this POB and the other POB, and like my actual POB in the show notes, so if you want to check out those. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them, and I'll respond when I can. Thanks.